phonetically spelled, and it's been corrected a few times. I asked my grandfather, who was a hereditary chief and carver, what the meaning in Gitsan would be for life. And he took a long time to think about it, and he said, well, it's this, Willa, dills, and it means the way we live. And to me, that meant so much more than the English version, life. The way we live our lives is so important, and we should be reminded daily so that we can experience it to its fullest. My own experience in teaching and giving Reiki treatments, I also do iridology, which deals with nutrition and herbal remedies, which I have a working knowledge. I tend to think of myself as a person that knows these very practical things that our ancestors knew. They were just, how do you get by in life? How do you keep your family healthy? How do you keep yourself healthy and your community healthy? My herbal and nutritional knowledge varies from community to community where I go, depending on what the traditional sources are, what the culture and language dictates. I do not dictate to someone in Salish territory what Gitsan herbs to use. So in this way, I believe that we are so far ahead of the game in acknowledging the issues that our First Nations communities are dealing with, which are abuse, addictions, and that a certain amount of this can be dealt with through traditional health governance. For instance, I was asked recently in the fall, when it was just like a beautiful fall, sunny day, by some ladies that I had been giving Reiki treatments to in a very rural community, what I would suggest, what brand of vitamin C would I suggest for them to give their families over the winter. And always this is my thought, is how do I set people up for success, if it's nutrition or, you know, taking care of yourself. And it was such a beautiful autumn day, and the rose hips were in full production. So I suggested rose hips because they're very high in vitamin C. They're higher than oranges in vitamin C. They're readily available. They're free for the picking. Vitamin C that you buy in the pharmacy, I explained, or in a grocery store, you can only digest a certain amount of it. The rose hips are a whole food. You can digest everything. You can make a syrup out of it. You can dry the rose hips to make a tea, and or as a lady mentioned to me, you can dry them and chew them as a candy. So, and in this way, the kids can go out and pick their own vitamin C and eat it throughout the winter. So these ideas of being self-sustaining are nothing new, because in the past, the knowledge of medicine was a natural part of everyone's learning. Everyone knew how to take care of themselves. We knew that plant medicines were for what they were for and how to preserve them and prepare them. When we needed special help beyond what was common knowledge, we looked to our medicine people and healers. This familiarity with the healing properties of plants that grew around us this knowledge belongs to the community. And unfortunately, the communities, many communities, not everyone, but many communities no longer use this knowledge. For so many reasons out there for that. But traditional healers and elders say that everyone has the ability to heal. Whether it's the mother who tends to her child, a friend who eases your pain by kind words, or the healer who heals your sickness. Everything that was put here is healing: the trees, the earth, the animals, and the water. Although this knowledge is no longer widespread, and many of our illnesses that our communities are faced today are not, were never seen in the past. Many Native people are seeking emotional, mental, and spiritual healing for past abuses and traumas, for the pain that they're carrying as a result of what generations of families went through, and our loss of identity due to separation from family and culture. So today I wanted to impart to you that some healers used to doctor by involving extraction of illness, the spiritual extraction, or the herbal extraction where you would drink something that was purgative, and so that you would cleanse your system out. Some healers describe their way of working either should be evaluated as well as to how well you followed that and how well your employer supported you in that. So because we have to support our dealers in this goal to maintain and build capacity. And you know, which is the big thing with being from up north is maintaining and building capacity. People get burnt out. People go away to become educated and then come back and find the job so overwhelming that it isn't doable for long periods of time. One thing I think the next 2 days are about too is that it's really normal and natural to be impacted by any involvement in the work to end domestic and sexual violence. Traditional ideas of self-care are imperative to maintaining and building capacity in our communities. I was reading a Buddhist story, and it really helped me in my recovery and I'm not Buddhist though, it really helped me in my recovery from my childhood abuse, and I had an abusive husband for 13 years, until I gave him up. To even think, in this particular Buddhist story, it was stated that to even think to even think negatively about a woman is to erase 10,000 years of good karma. That's a lot of hard work. 10,000 years of good karma. So the idea of striking a woman, or a man, or a child, is so important, really, to our very nature. And yet, because we, as having gone through abuse myself, and then the people that I work with on a daily basis in my family, tend to go, well, you know, that stuff happens. It's like, yes, stuff happens, but it has a huge effect on who we are and how we relate to violence and how we relate to sexual abuse. And when people don't talk about it, or it's uncomfortable or morbid or awful to talk about. And it is very disruptive to families when the silence is broken. It's horribly disruptive. And there aren't a lot of choices for people who are going through these things. I think that there needs to be more support so that they can stay in their communities and not be ostracized. I think that to be less horrified by abuse does nothing to lessen its burden, and nor does it help abuse happen less often. So to become jaded and, I think every day that we hear stories, it should hurt our hearts. We should feel these things. And I think that, I guess I have a special place in my heart for youth workers because most often they are young. They don't understand how much time they need and how much support they need to deal with suicides of young people in our villages. That they should be getting a lot of help, whether it's from traditional areas or from a therapist, massage, any of those things. I think that we have to relate to our young people how important self-care is and how big their job is that they're doing. If that wasn't enough, here's a few incentives why we need to avoid the damaging effects of stress. So, because we all know that stress as a reaction itself isn't bad, and we need it in order to respond quickly when we're in danger. But this reaction is only designed to be short-lived. Our modern-day lifestyles, unfortunately, tend to promote stress responses that's non-stop. So it really takes its toll on our bodies. Constantly circulating stress hormones from anxiety and frustration are known to increase blood sugar and insulin levels, which then in turn increase our risk of diabetes and heart disease, raise blood pressure, cholesterol levels, imbalance our immune system, break down our bodies, divert blood away from non-fight or flight organs such as the digestive system, bones, reproductive organs, and skin. Chronic stress also reduces oxygen and nutrient delivery to the body, can give us a belly as we age. Injures the brain cells responsible for memory and can even produce depression. All of this stuff is worse by inadequate sleep, which is all too common when lying awake at night, trying to figure out how to help people or create our budgets that are more supportive. So, all these things, self-care, I know from being a single mom and working, all these things it's not easy to take where I start with my clients and with myself if I've fallen off a little bit, is just get back to that 15 minutes. If I can make it to a yoga class and I've been away for a while, it's my biggest gift that day is that I just made it. It doesn't matter what I do in the class, how good I am, or how long I can meditate for, or any of those things. The fact that I just made it to the class, that's a really big, to me that's success. So as individuals and nations though, what are our assets? What can we do? A lot of places don't have yoga classes. Many of our villages don't have therapists. Modern healthcare in general as an institution, whether you're from up north or from down south, it doesn't even work that well. Capacity budgets, everybody's struggling with it. Wait times, family doctors, nurse shortages, doctor shortages, therapists are difficult to find and to keep. And of course, it's really, the costs are much higher delivering healthcare in Canada's most remote regions. So, when we look at the modern healthcare system, we gotta wonder about its ability to provide care, but also its ability to support workers. Are RNs overworked? Is the LPNs, is this their third or fourth shift in a row? How do they expect people to cope, not just with their jobs, but with their families and communities? So, how do we support our employees trying to work in this type of system, and how does it impact our health? And that brought me to traditional healing systems as a determining structure for our health care. And by using these preventative methods that we use for thousands and thousands of years, we can then supplement our traditional health governance and preventative measures with the health clinic, with the dentist, with the therapist, because we're not relying on another system to help us out, only in case of emergencies. So it's not overburdened, but we are actually taking care of ourselves the way we used to. So, that brings us back that when you're in your communities, how do you develop health plans for your employees or for your community that are doable, that create a balanced lifestyle that includes exercise and diet, spiritual practice, whether it's a religion or traditional spiritual practice. Do we remember to be self-indulgent, and what role does music, singing, and dancing play in our health plans? Because some people have to slot those in order to make sure that it happens. And I think that with health plans, it's really important to know your situation, customize your program to you, utilize the tools